All right, I am very excited to show you what I have here today. This little bass is very near and dear to my heart. It is a 1961 Epiphone Newport. This little bass is actually one of the first vintage short scales that I ever got my hands on. Not this one in particular, but there was a walnut version hanging up at a guitar shop in Seattle called Emerald City Guitars that I fell in love with back in about 2010. I remember walking in one day and just seeing it there and thinking, what the heck is that? This symmetrical body shape, it's so tiny. And I picked it up and it just felt immediately at home. And when I plugged it in, it had this really fun, tubby, bouncy sound. And while I knew that it wasn't something that I could ever really use in the music that I was making, there was just something really special about it. I didn't buy that bass that day, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. And eventually, a few years later, I got a really good deal on this one. So let me tell you a little bit about it. For those of you who are familiar with Serek basses, you might be realizing that the Midwestern is heavily influenced by this little bass. There's not a whole lot to it, and I think that's one of the reasons I've been so attracted to it throughout the years. It's a very simple bass. It's got a 30.5-inch scale, a mere 20 frets here, kind of hard to reach. Got these nice chunky reverse Kluson tuners. It's got a single pickup slammed up against the end of the fingerboard, and this is indeed the side-winding Mudbucker of Gibson infamy. This one happens to have the bakelite cover, which they did away with after 1961. It's got this little armrest here, hand rest, whatever you want to call it. There's nothing under there. It's just kind of there for looks. The old 2-point bridge with just a slanted bar going across cast into the bridge. Not a lot of intonation here, but for a short scale, this is about all you need. The Hipshot 2-point supertone bridge, which we use a lot on our instruments, was originally designed as a replacement for this bridge right here. You've got just a volume and a tone control. You've got this nice little rosewood tug bar, which we've seen on a lot of vintage Japanese basses lately. Got a nice simple pickguard with this metallic Epiphone decal on there. Got the Epiphone logo inlaid into the headstock, some mother-of-pearl face dots inlaid into what looks to me like an Indian rosewood fingerboard, and a nice piece of mahogany. It looks like a one-piece neck and a one-piece body. Another thing I really love about this bass are the heavily rounded body edges. The radius is such that it meets in the middle, so you get this almost complete radius on the side of the body with no flat spots, and it gives it kind of this chunky, kind of almost Gumby-esque kind of look, but there's just something really comfortable about it. And the neck has a really nice shape as well. It's not too thick, it's not a baseball bat. It's nice and slim, side to side, and front to back, it's just got a nice rounded D-style profile. Another thing that I noticed about this bass is that it's got a pretty steep headstock angle. You will see a lot of these breaking right back here, since there's no real volute there to kind of substantiate the back of that neck. And I really like the finish on this bass. I don't know if this is the same way that Gibson does its cherry finish anymore. It looks a little different to me. It looks like they actually used red grain filler to pore fill the bass, and then they would spray their translucent red on the top of that. So it's got this little extra pop of color, and you can see where it's been kind of played. The red has sort of worn away to this cool amber kind of orangish color. Gives it a really neat kind of fade. It's a really simple instrument, as I mentioned before. There is really not much to it. It's kind of a one-trick pony tonally as well. This would be really great if you wanted to be in a dub band or just do some really heavy, fuzzed-out classic rock and roll. It's a really neat bass. I love the design. I love the symmetry of it. The Epiphone Newport. It's a classic that's hard to beat. Let's hear how it sounds. For those of you who are wondering, this is the sound of the bass with the tone knob rolled all the way up. Let's hear how it sounds with it rolled off. I hope you have some good speakers, because this is some subsonic shit. octave pedal. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this bass, go check out the Midwestern at serekbasses.com. It's kind of an updated version of this instrument, something that's a little bit more versatile, but sort of retains the charm of this lovely little creature. See you next time.